Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Death of the Inhumans, Issue 1. This is a mini-series from Marvel Comics 2018, and it's written by Donny Cates, with art by Ariel Olivetti, colors by Jordie Belaire, VC's Clayton Cowles did letters, and the cover was by Kare Andrews. And there are some variant covers, of course. This was edited by Will Moss, with associate editor Sarah Brunstad, and Tom Brevoort was the executive editor, but don't let that stop you from reading it. Alright, so the Inhumans have been finding dead Inhumans all over the place. Apparently the Kree have decided to gather up all the Inhumans because they were once an experiment of the Kree to make super soldiers, and the Supreme Intelligence decided from a vision that there was going to be a downfall of the Kree by one of the Inhumans, so they stopped their research and just sort of left the Inhumans where they were, abandoned them. But that was a long time ago, and they forgot about this vision, and they decided that since they've lost their homeworld, that they're going to force the Inhumans to join them in the fight against the Skrulls or die in the effort. There's a council of the 5 tribes of Inhumans, and Black Bolt arrives to find a bunch of corpses, and they are shown this creature named Vox, who is out hunting Inhumans, and there's a trap, of course, but thankfully they escape, and they find out that their home is being attacked by this Vox character. Maximus is in some trouble, and Lockjaw goes to save him. Oh man, this has just got bloody right out the gate too. Like, they are not screwing around. This is definitely an ending story, and they're going to kill a lot of Inhuman characters, which I'm a little disappointed with, but it's a really good issue. It's very well written. The art's solid. I'm not familiar with this artist, probably because I was out of the game for so long. Lockjaw looks really cool, and this Vox guy seems to have a lot of the powers of different Inhumans, so he seems to have Black Bolt's power as well, and he's got a pretty cool looking costume. Overall, I would recommend this. I thought it was a good story. It was definitely worth the $5 to me. I thought it was really well done. If you're an Inhumans fan, you'll want to check it out, and if you're not an Inhumans fan, I think you'll find something here too. I think it's got a lot of potential to be a really good miniseries, even though it's probably going to be sad if you're an Inhumans fan. So I would definitely recommend this one. So with that being said, this is a definite recommend. I would definitely check this out again, and I was more than willing to pay the $5 for it. Thought it was beautifully done, and it's an interesting story so far. I didn't feel bored at any point. It hits the ground running. There's no screwing around. So that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. Be sure and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and consider subscribing so you never miss a future episode. And we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Death of the Inhumans, Issue 2. This is part of the miniseries from 2018, written by Donny Cates, art by Ariel Olivetti, color artist Jordie Belaire, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. Cover artist was Kare Andrews, variant cover by Marco Ceccahetto, associate editor Sarah Brunstad, editor Will Moss. Unfortunately, the Inhumans are not doing well. They have some injuries and a whole lot of death. Their moon base is effectively destroyed, and a lot of people with it. Karnak the Shatterer goes to the Kree homeworld of Hala, or at least what's left of it, where he meets with the current ruler of the Kree to discuss surrender, and we learn some background on them about how they came back to find everything destroyed. Apparently these events happened in Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men the Black Vortex. I don't care to look up. They fill you in pretty well here on these guys showing up and finding the planet and Empire destroyed. The Supreme Intelligence is dead apparently, and these guys have a different attitude on how to run things. They've been in deep space, and most of them have never actually been to the homeworld. They've only heard about it, so they're a lot more militaristic, and they're not about to let these so-called deserters go, so they're planning vengeance on them. And now this leader guy is ready to accept surrender, and Karnak's like, oh, I think you misunderstood. We're not here to discuss our surrender. And the head of the military here, I don't think he's named, and he tells Vox to take care of Karnak, and Karnak gets stabbed, but then there's a big boom, and Black Bolt shows up and starts reciting the names of the people that are dead, and oh man, he is ruthless. It goes on for several pages, and then Vox gets the drop on Karnak, and leads to a really nasty ending. It's a little gory, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. This was a good issue. I enjoyed it quite a bit. A little bit action-oriented, but it's very plot-driven. It's not focusing on the action. It's definitely more of building the story and furthering it, and it does a really good job of it. I thought it was a really fun read. It was definitely worth the $3.99 to me. I think it was a slightly weaker book than the first one, but it was still one of the best Marvel books out currently, and I would highly recommend it. This book is getting really no press, and it's getting barely any reviews, and I think that's a real tragedy because this is actually a really good story. If you like the Inhumans, it's going to be pretty depressing. This book will have some spoilers in it for the events that transpired in issue 1, and you'll definitely don't want that ruined because this kind of ruins it by page 3. So I highly recommend it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's definitely one of the best Marvel books out there right now. But that's just my take. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss future reviews, and we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Death of the Inhumans issue 3. This is a mini-series from 2018, written by Donny Cates, art by Ariel Olivetti, color artist Jordie Belaire, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles, cover art by Carrie Andrews, variant cover artists are Aaron Kudar and Maury Howell, associate editor Sarah Brunston, editor Will Moss, executive editor Tom Brevoort, editor-in-chief is C.B. Cebulski. Now, shockingly, despite some of the editorial staff, this does have a really good team on it. The art is solid, and in this issue we're finding out that Black Bolt's been taken hostage by Vox and the Kree, and he has lost his powers and he is injured. But he is not powerless. His power is merely greatly diminished. But he manages to start his escape while Medusa and some of the others, Karnak, etc., are looking for an ally. They're going to go get a hired gun, and it is an interesting character that is revealed at the end. Quite honestly, I was a little surprised by it. I did not really see that one coming, but mostly this is a character building story. It's moving the plot along. We're learning a little bit more about what the Kree are up to and how these old lost Kree have come back, and there's a brief appearance by Ronan, and he makes amends with Black Bolt, but there is no actual fight between them despite what the cover would suggest. This issue does feel a little padded, but the art is solid, and it was shockingly really good. I've had a lot of fun reading it. It was definitely a middle story. You're not going to get really caught up on what's happening, so you're going to have to read issue 1 and 2 to really get what's going on with this one. Most likely, I would say. But it was still a very good issue, very solid. Donny Cates is doing a good job on this miniseries, and I'm interested to see where it goes next. I would say it's a recommend if you're going to read the entire miniseries. If you're just looking at sporadic issues, it's not good for that. You really need to read parts 1 and 2, but it was a good addition to the miniseries. So I would recommend it for people that want to read the entire miniseries, but as a standalone, no, it's not going to work. But that's just my opinion. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing so you don't miss future reviews, and we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Death of the Inhumans, issue 4. This is from 2018, Marvel Comics, written by Donny Cates, art by Ariel Olivetti, color artist was Jordie Belaire, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles, cover artist was Carrie Andrews, variant cover was by Pepe Larraz and Marte Garcia, associate editor Sarah Brunston, editor Will Moss, executive editor Tom Brevoort. So we pick up where we left off last issue. issue with the recruitment of a new ally, and we learned that he had been very good friends with Lockjaw, and he is very, very unhappy. He joins up with the Inhumans and heads out to find Black Bolt. Well, Vox is hunting Black Bolt down. There's a fight going on. Thankfully, the others show up in time, and they learn a really horrific secret about Vox, and they unfortunately lose one of their members, but there is an interesting turn of events that changes things quite a bit. Now, the art was solid. I liked it. Some of the backgrounds looked like traced photos, but not too bad. It wasn't overly obnoxious like it generally is. It was actually fairly minimal, and there were some really cool scenes in here. I thought it was a good twist. Really solid issue all around. My main complaint was some of the dialogue early on between the special guest appearance and Medusa, where she says, like, excuse you, and talks with a young person vernacular that somebody that lives on the moon and of her status would not talk like. It really just didn't fit the character. So I had a few issues with some dialogue, but otherwise it was a great addition to the story. Again, you're really not going to be able to just jump in with this issue. There's a little bit of fill-in that could get you through it, but it's really not a good jumping on point. But I would definitely recommend checking this out. I know they're going to reprint this in trade paperback soon, but I prefer individual issues as a general rule, and so far this miniseries has been really good. The next issue is the last one. It comes out, I think, November 7th, and I'm going to try and get it as soon as possible to review it. But overall, this miniseries is great. This issue is no exception. A little weak on some of the dialogue, but overall, another solid issue. But that is just my opinion. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, Teespring and Patreon links are in the description. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.
We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Death of the Inhumans, issue 5. This is the final part of the miniseries, written by Donny Cates, art by Ariel Olivetti, color artist Jordie Belaire, letters VC's Clayton Cowles, cover art by Carrie Andrews, variant cover art by Mike Del Mundo, based on the cover of Captain America 113 by Jim Steranko, associate editor Sarah Brunstand, editor Will Moss, executive editor Tom Brevoort, editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski. Alright, so I've stalled long enough. This story really rounds out the series. This is obviously not a good jumping on point. We learn Black Bolt has one good shout still in him. Although they are fleeing now, they take a moment of silence and turn their ship around and attack the Kree. They find out what happened to some of their fallen brethren, and the war is put to an end. I don't want to say much more than that because it really will ruin what happens in the story. But needless to say, some of the people we thought were dead are not, and others, well, they are. It's not a great resolution. I'm gonna say that. It feels very unsatisfying in many respects. It's a little cheap. It really doesn't wrap everything up as nicely as I wanted it to. It's well written, don't get me wrong there. It just feels a little lacking. So I don't know exactly why it ends this way, but it does kind of feel like they were cheating for the sake of future storytelling opportunities. Honestly, I predicted that this would be all a dream sequence by the Supreme Intelligence, some sort of vision that he was having, because they reference visions quite a lot in there, because the Supreme Intelligence did have this vision that this would all happen, but it really doesn't play out that way, and it kind of feels a little cheap in the way that it just has a bow on it and is wrapped up. Overall, though, it wasn't bad. I just felt a little cheated. The miniseries itself was fine. It was very good, actually. And I would still recommend this issue, especially if you've read the entire thing. Otherwise, I would recommend getting it in trade, or if you can find the individual issues cheap. I don't think this is going to be the classic it probably could have been, because the ending is pretty weak. But it's still worth reading. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'll revisit it when I buy the trade paperback and take a look at it then and see if I feel more satisfied with it, because it is a really good Inhumans story, and there's very few of those. That's just my take on it. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss future reviews, and we hope to see you on the next one.